Hello and thanks for joining us for our late night newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Let's start tonight with some track 2 diplomacy that took place between the United States and North Korea. A group of North Korean diplomats and former US officials have been holding talks in Malaysia. The two sides are feeling each other out following the North's recent string of nuclear and missile provocations. EG1 starts us off.
North Korean diplomats and former U.S. officials and experts have wrapped up a weekend of talks in Malaysia. Seoul-based Yonhap News Agency reports the two sides spent several hours holding discussions at a hotel in Kuala Lumpur on Friday and continued their talks from Saturday morning through the evening. North Korea was represented by Han Sung-yeol, Director General of the U.S. Affairs Department at the North Foreign Ministry, and Pyongyang's Deputy Ambassador to the UN, Jang Il-un. On the U.S. side, the representatives were Robert Gallucci, a former State Department Special Envoy on the North Korean nuclear issue, and Joseph DeTrani, former Special Envoy for the six-party talks, as well as two researchers with expertise on North Korea. The meeting was classed as informal and took place behind closed doors. But one of the American attendees, Leon Siegel, director of the Northeast Asia Cooperative Security Project at the Social Science Research Council, told Yonhap News that the discussions centered around the regime's nuclear developments and missile threats, and that he personally thinks the two sides made progress. He also mentioned that the North wants a peace treaty with the United States before agreeing to abandon its nuclear weapons program. But the U.S. says denuclearization must come first. Asked whether government-level talks between the two countries would be held afterwards, Siegel said they want to make it happen and that there should be a way, but they'll have to wait and see. But he added, as President Obama is out of office in January, he doesn't think much will happen by then. And instead, North Korean policies are something the new Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton administration will have to review. 이지원, Arirang News.
Now, a third of UN member states have now reportedly handed over their implementation reports on the latest set of UN sanctions adopted against North Korea for its recent nuclear missile provocations. Voice of America reports that 66 nations have submitted their reports since the UN Security Council adopted Resolution 2270 in March. The US-based broadcaster cited the Spanish mission to the UN, which currently chairs the global body's panel on North Korea sanctions. It says the number of reports received is the second highest after Resolution 1718, adopted shortly after the North's first nuclear test in 2006. Out of the latest reports, Angola, Burundi, Costa Rica, Iraq and Senegal submitted reports for the first time. A South Korean researcher has unearthed even more Japanese historical documents proving Korea's easternmost Dokdo Island was considered Korean territory by Japan more than a century ago, further pouring cold water over Tokyo's erroneous claims to the East Sea islets. Revealing his findings at a press conference in Seoul on Saturday, Dongguk University professor Han Chol-ho said the maps produced by the Japanese government in 1888 and 1892 clearly marked Dokdo as Korean territory. The first map shaded Dokdo and nearby Ulleungdo Island in a different colour from Japan's mainland. It also didn't mark mountains on the islands, as it did for mountains in Japan. The professor said it shows the Japanese government at the time did not see the islands as part of Japan. The map from 1892, which was published in government-verified textbooks from the early 1900s, excludes Dokdo from Japan's national border. Despite the weight of evidence to the contrary, Japan continues to this day to make false territorial claims to Dokdo. Two comfort women statues have been unveiled in Shanghai, the first monument in China to pay tribute to the female victims of Japan's wartime sexual slavery. The statues, one of a Korean girl and one of a Chinese girl, have been set up inside Shanghai Normal University with the help of private donations from the residents of Hwasong, a city south of Seoul. It's the fifth monument to be built outside of Korea in honor of the women and girls forced into sexual slavery for Japanese soldiers before and during World War II. The other statues are located in the United States, Canada and Australia. In the race for the White House, the latest Reuters Ipsos poll shows Donald Trump is closing the gap on Hillary Clinton with a little over 2 weeks before Americans head to the polls for the November 8th election. The poll, which was released on Friday local time, shows Trump has cut Clinton's lead in half this week, with the data showing his argument that the election is rigged against him is resonating with Republican voters. In the latest poll, Clinton led Trump 44% to 40%, a 4-point lead. That compares with 44% to 37% for Trump in the previous poll released last week. An average of polls compiled by Real Clear Politics shows Clinton 6 points ahead at 48% support to Trump's 42%. Trump is due to give a major speech in Pennsylvania. He is expected to lay out the immediate steps he will take in the first 100 days of his administration if he's elected president. Now, UV rays cause dark spots and freckles to form on our skin, causing it to age more quickly. But researchers have found that red ginseng has the ability to protect the skin against sun damage. Park Se-young has the details.
Protection against ultraviolet rays is important all year round. First come wrinkles and then thickened dead cells, which in the worst case can develop into skin cancer. Thankfully, new discoveries by Korean scientists show that red ginseng can protect the skin from UV rays. In their experiments with hairless mice, the scientists either gave the mice an injection of red ginseng extract or applied the extract directly. The mice were then exposed to UV rays 3 times a week for 22 weeks. The ones treated with red ginseng suffered less skin damage and exhibited fewer signs of aging than the control group, and their skin was about 35% thinner. The incidence of skin tumors was also cut by half.
The red ginseng injections were more effective, but the application worked too, so doing both would be best.
The study also showed that the saponin found in red ginseng can help prevent and alleviate skin pigmentation after UV exposure. A signaling agent is secreted when the skin is exposed to UV rays, causing inflammation and ultimately discoloration. The scientists found that applying saponin to the skin reduced the expression of the agent by nearly 70%. The findings are expected to lead the way to the development of new products for protecting the skin and medications for preventing skin cancer. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Korea has been celebrating the country's traditional attire, Hanbok. Friday was the 20th National Hanbok Day, but the celebrations continued into Saturday with numerous Hanbok-themed events taking place in and around one of Seoul's best-known palaces. Our Kim Jung-soo went to check it out and filed this report.
The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism has been holding a 2-day ceremony at Seoul's famous Gyeongbokgung Palace, under the theme of Hanbok Renaissance. This event is part of the Culture Ministry's efforts to ensure that Korea's traditional Hanbok becomes an ever-changing and valuable component of modern-day Korean culture and fashion. The day began with a warm-up event called Han Design Fashion Competition Show in front of the palace's Hongdaemun Square, which featured around 20 works from young students and aspiring designers. The grand prize went to Kim Min-ji from the southern city of Busan, who only started studying Hanbok 4 years ago.
I'm so happy to have won. My family has been involved in making Hanbok for generations, and I'll keep working hard to promote Hanbok around the world.
Just a few steps away from the runway, a separate booth had been set up by the Hanbok Advancement Center. It allows participants to try their hand at designing their own virtual reality Hanbok, or try on the latest Hanbok trends.
We hope events like these can help the Hanbok become a more integral part of our lives. I believe Hanbok can serve as a way of life for the country's young artists and designers.
The event also showcased works by some of the country's leading Hanbok designers, who put a modern spin on the Hanbok, adding to its grace and functionality.
This is our Hanbok suit. It combines the look of a Western suit with a traditional Hanbok. So far, it has been particularly popular at weddings.
The night came to a close with the main event, the Talbit or Moonlight Fashion Show.
I'm confident that Hanbok will not only help represent Korea to the world, but also help modern-day individuals express their own unique identities.
The runway show displayed the past and present of Hanbok in all its glory. The traditionally styled Hanboks were designed to preserve the 5 original colors that symbolize man's relationship with the universe: black, yellow, white, red, and blue. The modernized Hanbok showed how each of the colors can be mixed to create new possibilities. The show may have come to a close, but the story of Korea's beloved Hanbok has only just started. Kim Jung-soo, Arirang News.
Right, well, before we go, we're going to take a brief look at the weather. And most of the country is under cloudy skies tonight. It's going to be fairly mild for the time of the year, though, with the low only dipping to 16 degrees Celsius in the capital. Sunday will be cooler than today, with a high topping out at just 17 degrees Celsius in Seoul. But most places should see some sunshine. With that, let's take a look at the weather map for Korea and the rest of the world. Well, those are the stories we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out the website arirang.com/news. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.